Hi everyone, I'm Michael Williamson. I'm a PhD candidate at Griffith University in the Department of Tourism, Sport and Hotel Management. And thanks for watching this presentation on my working paper about the motivations of esports co-streaming spectators. To begin, let me introduce co-streaming. Adam Fitch, who is a prolific esports journalist, has previously defined co-streaming as an activity in which a tournament organizer or game publisher allows other people to stream an official event broadcast, providing their own commentary in an effort to boost engagement and viewership. There must be advantages then of co-streaming esports for both game publishers as well as live streamers. There's an expected increase in viewership and revenue for both of these parties. For game publishers, they're expected to be able to increase their revenue through this increased viewership through negotiating larger advertising and sponsorship deals. For live streamers, on top of these larger advertising and sponsorship deals, they're also able to monetize their live streams through this increase in viewership, where they can increase their Twitch bits, Twitch subscriptions, as well as donations. Moving forward then into a literature review, we'll start with spectator motivations. Investigating consumer motivations to spectate sport is a long-standing tradition within the sport management discourse. Through this research, several tools to assess the motives of sports consumers have been developed. One of these tools is the Motivation Scale of Sports Consumers, or the MSSC for short, developed by Trail and James in 2001. There are 9 motives within the MSSC: vicarious achievement, acquisition of knowledge, aesthetics, drama, escape, family, physical attractiveness, physical skill, and social interactions. Trail and James demonstrated that the MSSC has increased validity and reliability over other tools. The MSSC has also been adapted and used to investigate esports consumers previously as well. The motivations of esports spectators have been investigated with respect to whether the spectator watches online or in person, and how these two forms of spectating changes motivations. Research has also identified differences in spectator motivations across different types of esports and compared to traditional sports. In regards to the current research, the MSSC is used to investigate why consumers watch co-streams. This slight change in context from esports broadcasts to co-streamed esports broadcasts provides an opportunity to adapt the motives into this new context. Many of the motives remain relatively similar, or are extended through the knowledge and personality of the co-streamer. From the motives of the MSSC, knowledge acquisition provides an illustrative example of how the change in context affects these motives. For knowledge acquisition in the context of co-streamed esports is filtered through the specific co-streamer and their beliefs about the metagame and metagaming and commentating a match. The metagame is the perceived standard way to play an esport, whereas metagaming refers to those tactics which are advantageous against the metagame. Thus, through relating metagame and metagaming principles, co-streamers can relay new and different tactics to their audience. This then extends that knowledge acquisition motive. Moving forward through the literature review into co-streaming sports. The paper Watching Sports on Twitch, a study of factors influencing continuous intentions to watch Thursday night football co-streaming, from Shen in 2021, investigates a similar method of sports consumption. Results demonstrated that virtual interactions and co-streamer fit positively influences the intentions to continue watching the co-stream of Thursday night football. Shen recognises the need for further research into co-streaming on Twitch and recommends future research to investigate sports fandom in relation to the perceived fit of the co-streamer to the content in which they are streaming. In the context of the current study, the perceived fit of the co-streamer is investigated in relation to sports fandom through the psychological continuum model, or the PCM for short, by Funk and James in 2001. Moving forward then into the theoretical framework of this study, we use both users and gratification theory, as well as a psychological continuum model to investigate the motivations of esports co-streaming spectators. Users and gratification theory is widely employed to understand the needs and, as a result, the motivations of consumer choice and use of media. Users and gratification theory has been used previously within traditional sports contexts and later extended into esports to investigate spectator motivations. In the context of the current study, it is used to investigate the motives of consumers and their choice to view an esports co-stream instead of the official broadcast. To understand and provide further insight into the choice to view a co-stream, this research focuses on one of the central aspects of users and gratification theory, that is, the emphasis of the audience as an active participant. The recognition of the active audience provides the current research with the view that spectators of co-streams actively choose to spectate esports in this manner, as opposed to watching the official broadcast. This active choice advances that esports spectators gratify their needs and thus their motivations through co-streaming. To assist in investigating the choice to watch a co-stream and to address the proposed research opportunities by Xian, the psychological continuum model is used. Proposed by Funk and Yams in 2001, the PCM is a framework of the social psychological processes of sports fans and spectators. The framework denotes a connection to a sports object, for example, a sports league, a sports team, an athlete, or in the context of the current research, the co-streamer, through attitude and behaviour change. There are 4 stages within the psychological continuum model. The first stage is the awareness stage. This is where a person has knowledge that a sport object exists. At the second stage, attraction, the person then begins to favour a specific sports object. At the third stage, attachment, that person then forms a stable connection to that favoured sport object. At the fourth stage, allegiance, that person now shows loyalty towards the specific sports object. As a framework of behaviour change in fandom, the PCM can be a useful tool in detailing the choice to spectate esports through a co-stream. In relation to uses and gratification theory, the psychological continuum model can provide further insight into the choice to use a co-stream through fandom towards the co-streamer. This study then proposes 2 research questions. The first research question is what motivates people to watch co-streamed esports broadcasts. The first research question focuses on the motives within the MSSC to detail the significance of traditional sports spectator motives in the context of co-streaming esports. The second research question is why do people choose the method of co-streams to spectate esports? Regarding the second research question, it focuses on the active audience and fandom in relation to consumers' choice to watch esports through the method of co-streaming. To address these 2 research questions, the study employs a mixed methods approach, underpinned by a pragmatic methodology and parallel research design. Study 1 is a quantitative approach, employing the MSSC contextualized to esports co-streaming. This is a single item measure for each of the motives within the MSSC, anchored from 1 at strongly disagree to 7 at strongly agree. To analyse the motives of the MSSC which predict and explain the relationship with esports co-streaming, multiple regression analysis is used. This approach to the MSSC has been used previously within esports spectator motivation research by Pizzo and colleagues in 2018. Study 2 is a qualitative approach, exploring co-streamer fit and the choice to watch co-streamed esports in relation to fandom. To analyse the data in Study 2, thematic analysis from Brown and Clark is used, employing both inductive and deductive approaches. The inductive approach allows for codes to be produced which are inherent to the content of the data. In contrast, deductive thematic analysis uses theoretical concepts which position the researcher to analyse the data. Deductive analysis is used to position the psychological continuum model and uses and gratification theory within the analysis, related to the fandom and the choice to spectate esports through co-streams, respectively. The expected outcomes of this research include both theoretical and practical implications. The practical implications of this research include 2 major points. The first practical implication is the motives of esports co-streaming spectators. This is important for both live streamers and game publishers to build relationships and marketing strategies with spectators. The second practical implication is how fandom relates to co-streamer fit and the choice to watch or co-stream esports. Fandom and co-streamer fit can help inform game publishers in choosing which live streamers are provided broadcast rights. The expected theoretical implications of this research again include 2 major points. The first theoretical implication is that this research adds to the consumer motivation literature in esports through demonstrating the relevance of traditional sports motives in a novel spectator setting. Secondly, this research advances the knowledge about esports consumers and their choice to spectate esports. We add to the uses and gratification theory literature through introducing fandom in relation to the choice to use co-streaming to gratify the motives of esports spectators. This is a list of references used throughout this presentation. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for watching my presentation about the motivations of esports co-streaming spectators. I'll provide my email if anyone has any further questions.